Ari, you do a lot of market research, something I'm looking forward to reviewing your piece for next year. But this is making you even more optimistic about legal purposes. What have you been hearing?
This started, just so folks know, I practiced law for nearly 9 years. I graduated law school in 1997. I started practicing in 97 in New York City and practiced with large firms there until middle of 2006 when I left the law to become a writer. Everybody thought this was a stupid idea except for my wife. And to her credit, she really thought, you do what you think is the best for you, which will turn out to be the best for us, and it'll be great. And she was absolutely correct. And I feel just fortunate that she encouraged me in that way. But so I started ghostwriting at that time. Someone actually approached me. I'd been freelancing. I probably wrote 125 articles during the period that I practiced, and which was amazing, which is something I highly recommend. But at some point, I got a real taste for it and started pitching. And I practiced during the early years, which during the sort of the internet heyday when magazines would have hundreds of pages and there was just a massive amount of advertising from technology companies. And so I wrote for Wired. I had a column for Ziff Davis's E-Week magazine. I had to actually go to Ziff Davis, do a photo shoot to get my headshot taken. It was super exciting and a lot of fun. And then somebody approached me before I stopped practicing and said, would you consider being a ghostwriter? Would you consider writing for us? And I thought, what does that mean? And it turned out it just meant writing a lot of stuff and under somebody else's byline, which was fine with me. It worked out great. And then somebody asked me, it was for a company called Fios, and they said, would you consider, instead of just writing for us, would you consider interviewing a number of corporate counsel and putting their thoughts together into some research, qualitative and quantitative research? And I thought, that's not going to work. Nobody is going to talk to me. And she said, I think they will. I said, let's structure it so that if only two people talk to me, she's like, fine, whatever you want, but I think this is going to work. And to her credit, enough people that I reached out to were agreed to speak to me that it started this sort of wonderful part of my career. At this point, I've written over 50 different reports. It's sort of like, I know that you're a very handy individual and have stuff and equipment, and we've had conversations about this, but it's like when I was a kid, my dad used to always ask me to hold the flashlight. And that was our thing. My dad was an incredibly handy individual. He would always ask me to hold the flashlight. Plumbing, electrical, carpentry, whatever it was, I had to hold the flashlight. And at some point, I didn't like doing this anymore. I got older. I was like, he doesn't need a flashlight. Get a light. Stick it on the ceiling or something. Why do you need me to stand here and hold this light? He goes, no, I need you to go over here. And it had to be very careful and pay attention to what he was doing because the light needed to be shined on that thing. And years later, I learned he didn't ever need the light. He just wanted me to learn what he was doing. It's amazing now because now every time something leaks or there's a wire or something, my wife thinks I'm just going to get in there, and which I have done. I've taken apart my dryer, my refrigerator, and my printer, which is a little hobby of mine. But the point is that I feel like I have this privilege now of holding the flashlight, right? I'm still holding the flashlight in many ways, trying to shine a light on what's happening in our profession. And when you talk about me being optimistic, it's really because I'm interviewing hundreds of people every year in senior leadership positions, whether they're in law firms or corporate legal departments, whether they're in the United States, whether they're abroad, really trying to understand, capture those perspectives, getting a realistic view of what's happening because those people know that they're speaking to me anonymously. Like I'm not going to reveal who they
Mm.
are. So they're very candid and honest. And I really appreciate that. So yes, I've produced this research and I can't believe how fortunate I am to be able to do that.